Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to say thank you and hello to everyone in our listening area. This is the initial show for the Volpe Report. I'm your host, Domenic Volpe, and the focus of this program will be not only for county issues, but also local issues. And many times there are people that work behind the scenes that sometimes maybe don't get the notoriety that maybe is necessary or due to them. So we'll be handling certain issues, and we'll be handling certain people, their daily lives and their daily focus, what they do. Tonight's special guest is Detective Sergeant Eric Johanson. He is one such person. He's part of the City of the Peekskill Police Department. We'd like to welcome Eric tonight. Hello, Eric. Nice to see you.
Nice to be here.
And we'd like to just go ahead and focus on what's in the normal day of a detective sergeant in the City of Peekskill. And also, let's start with a bio of you, Eric, and let's let our listeners know what's going on.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, to be your first guest. That's certainly an honor.
That's right, a first guest, and it shows you what kind of honor. I've known Eric just about all my life, and it's really, I'm glad that as soon as I asked him, he was very enthusiastic about this. If anyone knows Eric within the City of Peekskill's confines and even throughout the county, you know that you've got a great person that works for the city. I've known Eric quite some time, and thank you very much for coming onto the program.
Thanks again, Dom.
All right.
I've been with the Peekskill Police Department now for almost 15 years. I began as a patrolman and was promoted to detective back in 1998. I spent a lot of time in the detective division, investigating all sorts of cases. In the beginning, though, I had a specialty in narcotics enforcement. Really learned a lot, had the opportunity to work with some great people from my own agency and from outside agencies as well. Back in 2004, I was promoted to sergeant, and I had the opportunity to go back out on the patrol, which was a wonderful experience. I got to be a uniformed police officer again, and sometimes you tend to forget that, especially when you're in plain clothes most of the time. People don't realize who you are, so it was a nice experience to actually go back out into patrol and to command a squad of patrolmen who it was an absolute pleasure to do. They were great people that I got to work with. Shortly after, about 2 years later, I took over the detective division. Mm-hmm. I'm in charge of a squad of detectives, and we handle just about everything that comes our way. Because we're a small job, so to speak, we have the opportunities to work on a vast array of different types of cases, from the smallest larcenies up into and including homicides.
So you worked your way from the ranks, in a sense. It's almost like the old IBM, where you started from the mailroom and worked your way up, and that's the same scenario that you have with yourself. Then is what you're saying.
Absolutely. At this point in my career, I can say that I've really held or worn quite a few different hats and had the opportunity to experience a lot of different law enforcement type of experiences. I've had that opportunity, and it's been an absolute pleasure. I've worked for Chief Tumalo my whole career, and he's afforded me a lot of opportunities, and I'm thankful to him for that, and to the people I work with.
Okay, so moving on. So let's go into now. So give us a little bit of the size and the structure of the police force right now that's in the City of Peekskill.
In Peekskill, I would consider, in Westchester County, we would be looked upon as a medium-sized police department. Mm-hmm. When I say medium, the large size would be White Plains, Yonkers, of course, being the largest. White Plains, Mount Vernon being large, New Rochelle as well. And you have some smaller departments, villages and towns that have anywhere from 7 to 10 police officers up to 25, 30 police officers. Peekskill would fall right in the middle. We have 60 sworn police officers. We also are complemented by an array of civilian enforcement officers, civilian dispatchers. Now,
before we go any further, there was some talk just recently in the newspapers how it seems like there was not a controversy, but I believe when the new mayor took over, there was, I believe, 58, and there was an idea that they were going to increase the force by 2 or 3. Is it really an increase, or is it just to bring it back to the old levels, from a few years ago?
Yeah, we've been pretty steady at 60 officers. At one time, I think back in 99 or 2000, we may have had 61. But we've always been around 60, and that's
So
pretty much been
so the addition of the two really additional police officers is not an addition per se. It's really just bringing it up to full speed that, as has been for the past couple of years, is really what it is.
That's correct. We've been 60 for quite some time, and yeah, we have not expanded at all. We've pretty much remained static in that respect.
And are you is it a commissioner or is it a chief, and how is the hierarchy structured there?
Some of the older residents of Peekskill may remember a time when we had a commissioner in Peekskill back in the 70s and early 80s. That was changed, and we now are commanded by a chief. Chief Eugene Tumalo. He's been the chief for about 14 years, almost 15 years now. Mm-hmm. He's the commanding officer of the police department. He's top dog, so to speak. From him on down, we do have a captain and two lieutenants, and then several sergeants. Mm-hmm. Probably, I think there's 10 or 11 sergeants. And from there's a detective division and police officers, in addition to civilian enforcement personnel and civilian dispatchers, crossing guards. I mean, you name it, we have quite a few, a diverse department from top down.
Sure, from top to bottom,
yeah.
Exactly. The police responsibilities exactly. What if you say, well, there's 60 people, but what are their responsibilities per se of the Peekskill Police Department? I mean, it's, of course, enforcement is one, but I'm sure, you know, is there any way you can expand on that to say, like, exactly what the city, within a given year, let's say?
Sure. I mean, obviously, the Peekskill Police Department will be the sole law enforcement agency in the city. We have the primary responsibility of enforcing laws in the city. In a typical year, we might answer anywhere close to 30,000 calls for service per year, wow. Which is a lot. I mean, it's a substantial number. We handle all kinds of different calls for service, again, from what might be considered to be the minor calls up into including the most serious types of incidents that can occur.
Sure.
But outside of that, we would investigate, I would say, about 2,000 complaints per year, criminal complaints per year, 2,000 to 3,000, and then make about 2,000 arrests per year. But outside of that, there's a lot that goes on, and people may not be aware of what a police department does. We have a vast array of different units that are both full-time and part-time. An example of a full-time unit would be the detective division. That's a natural division in most police departments. Mm-hmm. But in addition, we have a community policing division. We have a narcotics enforcement division. And those are two full-time divisions that are trusted with handling all kinds of different complaints that are thrown our way, and they're very successful. Chief Tumalo has made a commitment right from the beginning, and I was there when he first became chief. He was committed towards being a community-oriented police department and took on the community policing type philosophy.
Sure. Well, I can just back you up on that, being a business owner, but not only that, being a Peekskill BID member. Every time we have an event, we have the community service officers that are helping us throughout the day, whether it's farmers market or events going on. And even as a business owner, you see not only the foot patrols, but whether it's the guys in the cars that are out there, you know, policing the area, and they do a great job. There's no doubt about it. Sure,
and the officers in the Peekskill Police Department are committed to the community. They're stakeholders as well. They take an active role in ensuring that people's problems are solved. And you know, that's important to us. I mean, what might seem like a minor problem to somebody is their major problem at the time. And if somebody feels the need that they need to call the police for an issue, it's certainly for a reason, and we take it very seriously.
Would you say the diversity makes Peekskill special in the sense that it's not like a very homogenous group of people, because you've got really a melting pot Peekskill has between the Hispanic community, the white community, the black community, the Asian community, whatever it is. You have such a divergence that, of course, when you have that, there's so many, one simple problem could cause something that's even bigger in essence. And really the police force is you have to be an arbiter, a negotiator, a psychologist maybe sometimes.